Have you ever heard a song or heard somebody talking on the radio or maybe calling somebody on the phone who you haven't met yet? And then later when you finally see a picture of them or you actually meet them in person, you're surprised by what they look like. For some reason, when you heard their voice, you created some kind of picture in your head of what you guessed they thought they might have looked like. And then when you actually meet the person, it probably isn't even close. Your sight is arguably one of the most important senses because it gives you the most information about the world around you in a single moment. And on the surface level, when we hear the gospel today and we see the great miracle of curing a blind man's sight, it is incredible. But the greater gift that Jesus gives the man born blind is the gift of faith. In fact, every reading that we hear today actually talks about this gift of faith. And why do we call faith a gift? Faith is a gift because God is always the one who takes that first step toward us. God is able to know a person to their core. He sees past the surface level. And in the first reading from Samuel, we read that God does not see as man sees, but God is able to look into the heart. And he chose the king of his people not on how the sons of Jesse appeared, but by looking into their hearts and choosing the youngest and most humble son of Jesse, who would be King David. God knows us intimately, so he knows exactly the right way and the right time to call us to himself in order for each of us to have the best chance to respond to him. And the story in the gospel of the man born blind being healed is incredible. Jesus did work many miracles throughout his whole life, but as I already said, the reality of the greater miracle was the blind man's eyes were not just opened. His eyes to be able to see the world around him, those weren't the only things that were opened. The eyes of his heart were also opened to be able to see Jesus as he really was, the Son of God. And this encounter with the true and living Son of God, receiving the gift of faith, was the bigger life-changing moment, because faith changes everything about how this man would live his life from then on out. And this has to be true for us today as well. Try to think back to the moment when you first encountered God. Even if you were baptized into the faith as a baby, everyone has a moment where you had to decide that faith is something that I believe and I know to be true. That God knows me, he loves me, and he sent his Son to save me from my sins. And after that encounter with God, that moment when faith took control of your heart, your life changed. The way you look at the world, the way you think, the way you talk, and the way that you act, all had to change because you stopped living for yourself and you began living for God. And just like the man in the gospel, you're almost unrecognizable because of how differently you appear to everyone else, because you don't do the same things that you did before. You don't act the same way. You don't talk the same way. Everything is different about you. You have become children of the light, and you become that example to others of what the Lord can do if only we take the opportunity to respond positively to his grace that he offers us. So as we continue our journey of Lent, working our way towards Easter, we have to ask ourselves, how is our faith affecting the way we live our lives? Are we allowing the faith to be that lens by which we experience everything through? Is everything that we say and everything that we do being guided by our faith? And then we also have to be honest with ourselves. What are those areas in our life where we tend to fall short? Those times in our life where we put our faith on the shelf and either say, I'll come back for this one time when things are starting to get hard again. Or is it the other way, where things are too difficult and you think, okay, well, I can't deal with my faith right now, I have to deal with this. Take those difficult moments, offer them to the Lord, and tell them about them, because He wants to help. He wants to give you the grace to overcome them. All you have to do is ask for that. And if we are able to overcome them and live out our faith to the end, then our eyes will be open forever, and we will be able to see God as He truly is, face to face.